moment.
I'm talking about white men and why a lot of us end up the way that we are. I'm going to speak about it from the context of white Christian nationalism, what is basically what I grew up in. So we see that playing out right now in a major way, right? White men, we have everything we could fucking ask for and more. And still, you see a massive outburst of white domestic terrorism. White men are the most dangerous population in America. For what? For what? Because we have all the rights, all the privilege, all the power as white men in this country. The patriarchy protects us. I said this yesterday, we are the main source of oppression in America. But our programming has us in this duality of being the victim and the perpetrator at the same time. We're not the victim, ever. I mean, I guess being a victim of our parents' violence when we're young and have no control over that.
White men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men. U.S. citizens. I see a trend.
So I grew up in a household where my dad whooped my ass a lot. My mom was very emotionally chaotic, unstable. And so from a very young age, we are taught as white men that authority is always right? So we're already starting to build the foundation of narcissism, right? Because I'm beating your ass because I love you. The parent cannot be wrong. This is their foundation for raising respectful little white boys. Can't go to mom and figure out how to regulate because she's either fucking mad or happy and not much in between. So then you learn to internalize your emotions and you kind of learn to turn that off, right? So then we have this foundation of a lack of emotional regulation because we cannot express ourselves, we cannot be contrary to what the rules are. So we have that narcissistic foundation, we have that violence foundation, and then we get reinforced through media, right? Who are all the good guys? Who is the standard? You know, growing up in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, generally it's the white man. You got white superheroes, you're taught, the cops are basically God's chosen. So cops can't do anything wrong. If they ever get pushed back, if they ever get, somebody running for them, whatever, that person is at fault every single time. So then we step into the white evangelical church where authority again is reinforced through the lens of white supremacy. They're not going to say that explicitly, but that's the foundation of the white evangelical church. And then you get indoctrinated at a young age with this idea that I am nothing without God. You hear it in all the songs. You hear it in all the fucking sermons and all this shit. So again, you have this foundation of violence, narcissism. You enter into the white evangelical church, which is also narcissistic. You have this reinforcement of violent authority. And then you also have your identity is wrapped up in, again, a white supremacist structure under the church. A lot of white men grow up with no identity outside of what is essentially forced onto us. And then when you're in the church, my parents had me go on mission trips to fucking Mexico, Haiti, and so this idea gets reinforced, this colonizer foundation that communities outside of whiteness need me. Reinforcement of whiteness as a standard, the white saviorism is implanted in your brain, and again, the church reinforces this over and over and over again. And then again, I've talked about this a lot in the white evangelical church. You have them preaching about how Christians are supposed to be in the world, not of the world. You're going to be hated because you're a follower of Christ, which reinforces the victim narrative while simultaneously reinforcing the narcissism. You pick up this duality of being viewing ourselves, no identity, inherently narcissistic, while simultaneously being able to play the victim. And we see that playing out right now in a major way, right? White men, we have everything we could fucking ask for and more. And still, you see a massive outburst of white domestic terrorism. White men are the most dangerous population in America. For what? For what? So it's this idea that's reinforced from the Trump administration on down, that somehow white men are the victims of these other communities outside of whiteness, which isn't fucking true. But if I'm the victim, if my parents are a victim of my behavior, and their response is violence by beating our ass, or emotional violence, that programming comes out of us as white men as well. So if I feel like I'm a victim of whatever made up fucking bullshit from a Klan goddamn government, then a response is I have to protect my rights by any means necessary. Bro, it's so fucking wild, because we have all the rights, all the privilege, all the power as white men in this country. The patriarchy protects us. I said this yesterday, we are the main source of oppression in America. But our programming has us in this duality of being the victim and the perpetrator at the same time. We're not the victim, ever. I mean, I guess being a victim of our parents' violence when we're young and have no control over that. But outside of that, again, we have everything we want and we need. That's why it's so fucking crazy right now, because straight white Christian men are the most protected in this country. And straight white men are the ones that are going to churches and schools and supermarkets and all this shit and shooting up the place. So it's this constant feeding into the foundation of the narcissist victim complex, which just breeds violence and gives white men the opportunity to justify what the fuck we carry out, while simultaneously making it look like we need to be the saviors of all these other communities, while simultaneously making us think that we're the fucking standard based on how we were raised, based on how the news, the media portray white men, based on how a lot of people interact with us because they don't want the violent outbursts aimed at them. And so a lot of white men grow up emotionally and developmentally stunted. You got 30, 40, 50-year-old men with the emotional intelligence of a goddamn 7 or 8-year-old. And white men escape accountability at every turn, right? Because if I'm supposed to be the standard, which again we are fed, that's fed into our foundation from very little. If I'm supposed to be the savior, if I can ultimately be the victim and the narcissist, there's nothing anybody can tell me or hold me accountable to, because it's all justified through the foundational principles that were set in our family, in the white evangelical church, in this false sense of patriotism, white Christian nationalism, which is just violence. So violence is constantly reinforced. No accountability. The ability to be the narcissist and the perceived victim at the same time. And this is all programmed into white little boys from a very, very young age. All the misogyny, all the homophobia, all the xenophobia, the way we see our dads treat and talk about women, the way we watch our dads treat and talk about, black, indigenous communities of color, the xenophobia, like the list goes on. And still, somehow, white men will always figure out a way to victimize ourselves and carry out the most violence at the same fucking time. It's such a massive mind fuck. So I guess that's what I see.
White men are the mental health problem in this country. Jim Crow, white men. Slavery, white men. Segregation, white men. Concentration camps for Asian Americans in the late 30s and early 40s. 1,800 people died. How many black people were hung from trees? 8,000. Let me guess. Oh yeah, once again, white men. The gun violence? 98% are men. 84% are white men. U.S. citizens. Huh, I see a trend. How about the Middle Passage where 1.2 African Americans died? Oh yeah, once again, white men. Why was the Second Amendment written? Let me think. Oh, so black people couldn't have their freedoms. So the white men could once again control them. Who's in the White House? An adjudicated rapist, convicted felon white man. Wow, I see a trend. But somehow Americans are just begging to blame a trans person, a non-white person. See, what happened to George Floyd is symbolic of what's happening in this country. The white man putting his knee on the neck of a non-white person and sitting there in broad daylight with the balls to say, who's going to stop me? And that's what we're seeing right now. So that's the question that we need to ask ourselves as a fucking country. Who's going to stop them? Because I'm just one person here. Now, I don't know about you, but I got friends and family that are sitting behind the white privilege, and I want nothing to do with them. Not because of who they are, because of their lack of action. Martin Luther King said, history is going to remember not the people that did bad things, but the good people that stood by and did nothing. Because once again, the white man is hiding behind their privilege while everybody else is getting treated like absolute fucking garbage. Because it doesn't affect me. You don't even want to go on a general strike to stop fascism. Oh, I can't work. Oh, I got a job. White man is the mental health crisis in the United States of America. It has been since day one. When you look at the majority of them, what do you see? A bunch of insecure little wannabe alpha males with small penises that need big trucks and guns to feel like a real man. That's the real problem, is toxic masculinity. That the white man feels able to shit on everyone's rights just because of how they look. It's ironic, isn't it, that they demonize black people because they're black on the outside, and yet their hearts are black on the inside. Isn't that ironic? And every single time we see a mass shooting, they're just salivating on the white supremacist red hatters to say, oh my gosh, it was an immigrant, it was a trans person, it was a gay people. 84% of gun violence is white men. But when it happens, like at the church the other day, what happens? Oh, thoughts and prayers. But what happened with the racist podcaster? Oh, they were just dying for it to be somebody on the left so they can just blame somebody else. And then a white man. The church yesterday. A white man. 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 Ahmaud Arbery. Guess what? 3 white men that chased out a black guy. Breonna Taylor. Oh, a white cop. Again and again and again and again and again. It's the same demographic. White men are the problem in this fucking country. And until we address the real mental health epidemic, which is white supremacy, built on white men controlling people, because that's how this country was designed. For 21-year-old landowning white men to shit on everybody else. This country was designed to benefit my demographic, and that is not okay. That is the original sin of this country. And until we address it, we will never be a great country, and we haven't been a great country. And if you don't like that, then you can shit.
Oh, it's a black man's fault that he's in the position. Well, what about black on black crime? I mean, it goes on and on and on. You know, I mean, I could sit here all day and give you examples. All lives matter. I mean, it just goes on all day. Black people ask for justice. White people find a way to try to obscure it, to try to take away from it, to try to demean it. We are colonizers. And I say that based on our behavior, collectively as white people. And until we stop being gaslighters and colonizers, white people are on a path of self-destruction. White supremacy, the lies of white supremacy, the colonizing mentality has never brought the white man happiness, and it never will. It's toxic, dysfunctional, and self-defeating. And it's not helping us. And now there's all this white rage. Because when the abuser loses control, he gets angry. And then Trump was born because we had a black president. And he was perfect because he was racist. And that's what white America wanted, because they're angry, because they felt like they were losing control. These colonizers have to have control. And we had a black president. And everybody just shit all over themselves. White people just freaked the fuck out. Oh my God, we're losing control. We have a black president. He's going to oppress us and enslave us. God knows we're going to be whipped and lynched. This is literally, I think, some of the thoughts, the subconscious. I'm exaggerating, but in a way it's true. The greatest fear of the colonizer is all that evil, vile shit that we did will be done up unto them, us. And that's why there's so much white rage. The numbers are changing. Pretty soon, white people will not be the majority. The abuser loses control. So what do? We continue gaslighting. We continue with white rage. White domestic terrorism on the rise. The greatest threat in America. White people are enraged because they can no longer control their victims, black and brown people, the way that they want to. They're losing some of their power, some of their positions, some of their privilege. They feel threatened. So here we are, in a state of crazy, utter chaos. That's why I say the line of white supremacy is our destruction.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing great and fine wherever you are watching us from. You know, I always try to bring thought-provoking and educative videos so that we can learn and relearn from the crazy things that are happening around us. Now it's coming to realization of some white folks that the hatred they have been directing towards black people is circling back to them, and they're feeling the pinch to an extent that some of them are now waking up and calling racism, colonization, and white supremacy that has been existing in their communities for centuries and centuries. And don't get me wrong, acknowledging racism, colonization, and white supremacy doesn't mean that you hate your whiteness. It means that you are learning that the system that has been privileging you has caused someone's dignity, freedom, and life. And this is exactly what this man is talking about in this video today. So kindly, let's dive in and give the video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it.
Most white people are racist. The thing that white people hate to hear, and the thing that white people refuse to acknowledge and fix. When I say most white people are racist, what I mean is the majority of white people are racist. And I know this to be true, and if you're an honest person, you know it to be true. Yes, most white people are racist, and it's very simple as to why.
Same thing, Miss Jane Elliott.
Some white people are the perpetrators of racism. Some white people enjoy discriminating against black people and brown people. They enjoy seeing inequality being distributed. They enjoy their white privilege, and they work to protect it. They enjoy using the N-word. They are Trump supporters. They support politicians and lawmakers that promote racism. These are the perpetrators. These are the covert and overt racists, people that actually spew racism in all kinds of different ways, with the discrimination through words, through behavior, so many different ways. And then you have all the other white Americans that support it. And they support it how? By ignoring it. A massive millions and millions and millions of white people right now in America are actively ignoring white supremacy. And it's an art. It's a culture. It's what we do. We're masters as a white people at pretending white supremacy is not real, at pretending inequality is not real, at pretending all the statistics, all the racial data, all the racial disparities in every single American institution is not real.
Introducing Jane Elliott.
Perception is everything. White people look vicious and ugly and non-caring and cruel and arrogant and powerful and condescending and angry. Are you angry? No. Oh, good for you. You angry? Trying not to be. Now, does that take a lot of energy?
Yes.
Yes. Are you holding it in?
Yes.
Yes. And are you trying really, really hard not to react to me?
Yes.
Yes. And are you trying really hard not to look at me?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because I don't want to make myself more upset.
You don't want to make yourself more upset by looking at me.
Yes.
Right. Does that take a lot of time, a lot of energy?
Yes.
Yes. Is that hard for you?
Yes.
Could you develop an ulcer over this?
No.
You had to do it every day. What would happen to your blood pressure?
It would rise.
Yeah. If somebody stood over you and you knew it was going to happen every day, or you expected it to happen every day, or it happened when you didn't expect it to, or it happened to your kids every day, after it happened to your mother every day. Now, getting right along. Your hand is still up. You still didn't learn anything, did you? Didn't I just say when your hand is up, you are thinking of what you're going to say instead of what's being said? Didn't I just say that?
Yes, you did.
And did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
And did you decide that you were just going to do it your way?
I was.
Wait a minute, you're on a roll
Yes,
there.
I
for a
did.
minute. Thank you very much.
Yes, I did.
Now, since you choose to not listen to others, what do you suppose we're going to do where you're concerned?
Listen to me.
Thank you very much.
They are finished what I'm saying.
No, because you're still thinking what you're going to say instead of what I'm saying. Now, getting right along.
I heard what you were saying.
You're doing it
I
again.
understand what you were
You're
saying.
doing it again.
I don't care.
You're doing it again.
It's wrong.
You're doing it again.
Persecuted her for standing
You're
up.
doing it again.
Persecuted him for standing up. The only change that ever happens is when people stand out, and I was happening.
Martin Luther King Jr. was shot. Are you in any physical danger here? Are you in any physical danger here? Is that girl in any physical danger here? Emmett Till was hanged by his neck after he was beaten almost to death, simply because he made a statement to a white woman. Every time I do the exercise, there is a point at which I know I have made the point. And we could stop there, but you have to nail it down. And so it goes on longer than some people think it should, but you have to nail it down. People at this institution...
You made your point earlier.
Thank you very much. What is my point that I've made?
That you can't make generalizations about any place because there's racism everywhere.
That's right. And while it may be... No. You don't come back in here until you apologize to every person in this room. Because you just exercised a freedom that none of these people of color have. When these people of color get tired of racism, they can't just walk out because there's no place in this country where they aren't going to be exposed to racism. They can't even stay in their own homes and not be exposed to racism if they turn on the television. But you, she knows, every person of color.
Racism, this country.
Bullshit! No, you're not going to say, I'm sorry there's racism. You're going to apologize for what you just did.
I will not apologize because it's not a matter of race always.
Out! Out! Now, is she choosing to leave? Yes. She could apologize and stay.
I won't play the wrong game anymore.
It's not going to hurt us to apologize.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
What's going on in this room alone? Once she leaves, that's it. It's over with.
Okay? It ain't gonna hurt her. Is it gonna hurt her?
She took one to action and it's killing her.
Yeah, can't learn. And if they succeed, who has failed? We have. You people want to fail? No. If they get power, who loses power? We do. Do you want to lose power? No. For 400 years in this country, we've been basing our judgment of people on the color of their skin. Eye color and skin color are caused by the same chemical, melanin. If you have a lot of melanin in your hair, your skin, and your eyes, you have very dark hair, very dark eyes, and very dark skin. If you have only a little melanin in your skin, your hair, and your eyes, you have light skin, light hair, and light eyes. These people all have too little melanin in their eyes. So obviously, they aren't as smart as we are. We're going to accuse them of not being as smart as we are. We're going to accuse them of not being as clean as we are. We're going to lower our expectations for them. We're going to force them to live down to our expectations of them. And when they do, we're going to blame their inability to perform on the color of their eyes. Now, in order to get them into their adult ego state, we're going to try to teach them the listening skills. Now, what do we call men that we want to keep in their childlike state? Boy. We're going to call these males boy. You're not going to use their given name. You're going to call them boy. Or you're going to call them Louie. Or you're going to call them fool. Now, people, what do we call women besides chicks? Honey, baby, gal, doll face, doll, dumpling.
Catering event. Sorry.
That means all food's here.
Means it's either all here or they packed it up. They can't not beat us.
We are going to give them no respect. How many of you have friends in that group? Let me put it this way, how many of you used to have friends in that group? Because some of these people are going to leave here very angry. Because they choose to be angry. And if they say to you, that made me mad, and I'll never forgive you for that, you need to say to them, you had it for 2.5 hours one day. One day in your life, you had it for 2.5 hours, and you're still angry about it. How often? How often have you been discriminated against on the basis of the color of your skin? Number of days? More than once in your lifetime? More than 2.5 hours in your lifetime?
Since the day I was born.
Since the day you were born. Has it happened to you recently?
Let's see, we do something. Yeah. See what he said. Cover. I just found the story.
Can you put the chairs back the way they were? Put the chairs back the way they were.
White people's number one freedom in the United States of America is the freedom to be totally ignorant about those who are other than white. We don't have to learn about those who are other than white. And our number two freedom is the freedom to deny that we're ignorant. Today we're going to take away these people's freedom to be ignorant. I want you to understand how the system works. And believe me, this is how the system works. We make laws to support white superiority and to reinforce white superiority. And when you catch on to how it works, then we change the laws. I didn't invent this exercise. I learned this from Adolf Hitler. One of the ways they decided who went into the gas chamber was eye color. This exercise is not without precedent.
So people. Good job.
Now look at this, watch it. Look at him. Should we just sit anywhere? Should we just sit anywhere? If you came into a room in which the chairs were arranged in this way, and the brown-eyed people were sitting in the
Are you upset at the radical homosexuals for going after Christians?
I'm upset at radical Christians for going after homosexuals.
Oh, you got it wrong. You got it backwards.
Well, one of us has it wrong.
That's you. You are
You want to talk about colorism and the damage that has been done to people of color and people of all colors, including white people, by the idiocy of believing that skin color makes you a better or worse person. If you want to talk about that, I'll talk about that. Other than that, I'm not interested in this conversation.
Jane, calm down.
Let's
Calm down,
talk
Jane.
somebody else.
Jane, calm down.
No,
How do
no.
you
You can call me
explain-
Ms. Elliott. Only my friends call me Jane. You can
Jane.
call me Ms. Elliott.
Jane.
You've proven that you are not one of my friends, okay?
Jane, you're out of control. Calm down. Let me ask you.
No one
Hey.
says to me, you're out of control,
But
calm
you
down,
are.
because they don't like what I'm saying. I'm sorry, but I don't have time for this. I have other things to do.
Hold on,
Call
hold on.
somebody else. All right, thank
Hey.
you very much. It's been interesting.